Hello and welcome to the Team VVV podcast for all your weekly racing game rambles. I'm Martin, and joining me as ever is Kevin.
Hi guys.
And Alan.
Hello viewers.
Sadly, Ed couldn't be with us. We suspect he's probably watching the final of the Great British Bake Off, as it's so unmissable here. But never mind. Do like and subscribe as ever, as it helps support what we do. This week, we are also giving away a copy of WRC 6, so do check out the website for full details of how you can win. So, kicking off the podcast, I thought we'd actually start with Nintendo for a change, as that's probably the biggest talking point in the games industry at the moment, following their announcement of the Switch console last week. I don't think anyone was really surprised by the announcement, as everyone thought it doubles up as a portable handheld system and also a traditional home console. I think it has potential. I can definitely see Japan really lapping it up at any rate. And in many ways, I think it looks like what the Wii U should have been in the first place, really. But the question is, can it replicate the success of the original Wii? Alan, what were your initial thoughts after seeing the trailer?
Initial thoughts are, for
me,
me,
corny it was.
Yeah, corny. Firstly, there's a much older user in the video. They're not showing young children playing the device. They're showing young adults.
Yeah.
So it's a different consumer they're after.
Even though the console thing looks like a dog's face, so it's a bit of a...
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting device. I think the first impressions were, this is nice, this is fun, this is interesting. The actual console in mobile mode is just like my JXD S7800B.
Yeah.
It's very similar. In fact, it's identical to that. So I've already got the equivalent of that when it comes to mobile gaming.
Yeah.
But
if it's like a Wii U that you can take outside.
Well, exactly. If I want to connect my JXD to a TV screen, well, I can with an HDMI cable. And I've done that. I've streamed Netflix and stuff like that from my handheld device to my TV if I'm traveling or whatever. So there's nothing really new there. And I think to myself, well, we're in this kind of mobile age where a lot of people will want to do stuff with their mobile phone more than they will carrying a big device around like that. It's quite large. You know, even as a handheld device, it is quite large. It's going to be reasonably weighty because it's going to need the battery life inside it to power that big screen. So I think it's interesting. I like the way they've used the idea of splitting it up so it turns into two controllers. I don't know how split screen is going to be on such a small screen. I still can't quite see the how that's going to work. I like the way you can do multiplayer, and they're pushing that as well. But again, it's something which, from a replacement of the Game Boy rather than a replacement of a console perspective, that would have been good. At the moment, I don't know how I feel about it at the moment. I'm not as excited. I mean, when I look at the Japanese market will buy it because it's Nintendo and they have a huge following. They will buy it because Nintendo will release 5 or 6 unmissable games that are just crazy good, and especially RPGs and stuff like that go down well there. But is it enough to fight off the challenge from mobile phones? And I can't say that it is, even in Japan. So it's going to be interesting.
They're playing probably on the strength of the sales that the DS still does.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, the DS always sells well. They've got all their Animal Crossing and stuff like that, and they'll no doubt release something like that, and people will go crazy for it. And no doubt they'll have a couple of good ideas.
I suppose at least in that regard, they are still playing to their strengths, i.e. the handheld market, because the Wii U was an absolute flop.
It was. I mean, I think they've got a strong market there because they've got Pokemon, and when they release Pokemon Multicolor Edition, whatever it is, it will sell millions of copies, and Pokemon just prints money. So they'll release some kind of super special Pokemon game that enables you to do stuff with Pokemon Go that no one else can do, enables you to get higher scores or whatever, and it will sell easily enough to keep the company going. Of that, there's no doubt. Will it be market leader? I don't know. I mean, on handheld,
will it be as successful as the Wii, basically?
Will it be as successful as the Wii? I can't see it myself. I'm not sold on it. In terms of a home console, it's a substandard home console. So compared to other consoles, it will be substandard. In terms of a handheld, what's the experience going to be compared to a mobile phone? I don't really know in terms of what it's providing, but we'll have to just wait and see. We haven't seen any of the games on it yet, and nothing's been confirmed for it yet. So it's a very strange reveal. I think they would have been better off having a proper reveal and showing some actual games.
I agree, but I suppose the only thing is, as corny as the video was, don't get me wrong, it was very, very corny. But it did at least send out a much clearer message than the Wii U when that was announced. Because remember when that was announced, I had no idea what it was. Is it, is it an add-on? Is it? I thought the controller itself was the main console because they didn't even show the main console.
Yeah, it was very confusing, wasn't it? And but it's this new Nintendo Switch. I mean, they're not going to be supporting VR, are they? So I mean, that's a massive mistake, I imagine, because it's all going to be about VR in the next few years. So
yeah, it's like they're trying to cling on to that handheld market again. But it's interesting because is there really a market for console gaming on the go? Because if you look at when Sony tried to do that, they've tried so many times and it's just never taken off. Yeah. It's interesting because it's a market that they've tried to capture really since the original PSP. They did it with the Vita, and then of course they sidestepped into remote play with the PS4. But of course, it's taken Nintendo to really take it into fruition, really, to go the whole way with it.
Well, I've been loving my JXD for the last couple of years. Obviously, I've made videos on it from time to time. We'll probably make some more soon. But I have thousands of emulated games on there. So I have a lot to choose from. It's also people are expecting it to be like $300 for this device as well, this new Nintendo device. We'll have to wait and see what the price is. But the JXD is somewhere around £100 now. It's a very good price. So, yeah, I mean, having already owned a product that's relatively similar, it runs Dreamcast games and stuff like that. Is a Nintendo proposition? You can play Wii U games on the go. I think that's good. But I don't know. I mean,
I'm not sure if you can play Wii U games because obviously it'll take cartridges.
No, I don't mean that. What I'm talking about is the quality of Wii U. I guess it's going to be that quality. But next year we've got next year console from a console living room perspective, you're going to have PS Pro and you're going to have Scorpio as the default, and the Scorpio will redefine what's possible with console visuals. It will be on a whole nother level, so that will really make the Nintendo stuff look a little bit dated comparatively.
But then again, Nintendo have always been dated somewhat. They've gone to a different market.
It's never been about graphics, though, has it? Let's be honest.
No, and they've always come up with these quirky sort of machines, and when I saw
Switch is typically quirky Nintendo, which I like in a way. They're staying true to their sort of brand.
I like it myself, actually. I was a big fan of the Nintendo DS. The original, fantastic little mobile device. And, when I watched the Switch trailer, which probably went on for about 2 minutes too long, I might add, I was excited for it because it was something different. It was...
it's actually something that's innovative in the console market, which PS4 Xbox One
But, I mean, is it 5 years too late for this Switch, though?
That's my worry. It's kind of catering for a market that's not really there anymore.
Well, it depends. I mean, Nintendo, they used to be a technology leader. I mean, the SNES was the most powerful system. The NES, the SNES, the N64, the GameCube were all market-leading technology.
Right.
It was only with the Wii U, and the Wii U, as popular as it was, and as popular as the sales figures will lead you to believe.
The Wii, not the Wii U.
The Wii, sold the console in massive numbers. But it didn't sell many games. People bought a few games, played it, got bored with it after a year and put it away. So financially, it wasn't the winner that everybody tries to make out it was. And the Wii U was even worse. Nintendo have made billions over the years, and they've been very canny with their money. And the same here. They're not losing any money on this device. They'll be making money from the off, and it'll be very carefully made. Even if it underperforms from a retail perspective, it will still make them money. But I don't know. I mean, myself, I've got a JXD. I've got a GPD. I'm not really, a GPD handheld's pretty ace as well. I'm not in the market for another one that does marginally better graphics than the NVIDIA Shield. And from a console perspective, where you can connect those handhelds already to your TV. So that's that. And yeah, I think it will make some good games, but on the whole, I think I'm disappointed. I want to see Nintendo back making what made them successful in the first place, which is, you know, like Mario 64 or Metroid or whatever, that, you know, making these market-leading graphics and visuals and gameplay experiences, and we're gonna get stuff that's like Wii U stuff. We're gonna get stuff that's
in terms of games,
Zelda.
Exactly. Yeah, in terms of games, they haven't made anything that's truly groundbreaking like Mario 64, etc., etc. Really, in the last few years.
No, it's
sort of changed the market. Yeah, it's changed the industry as we know it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I kind of feel that I wish Nintendo would actually move on and develop some new IPs as well. You know,
definitely.
You know, Donkey Kong, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon.
No, what they should do actually, there's one brand they should bring back, and that's F-Zero.
Absolutely. I mean, Nintendo haven't made an F-Zero game since the N64. So
I think the last one was the GameCube. The last one, I think. F-Zero.
They didn't make that. Yeah. I mean, that's made by Sega. So you know, so F-Zero GX, best F-Zero in the series by far for me, was produced by Sega. So yeah, I mean, I think a couple of years, it'll be 20 years since Nintendo last produced. Well, apart from Game Boy Advance, they did make a couple on Game Boy Advance, which I did play an awful lot at the time. I have to admit, they weren't as good. They weren't as good as the SNES version, even then. So go.
I played that one to death. I was just going to say, that was such a groundbreaking game for its time. Also, really, really hard.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. The Game Boy Advance was amazing when it came out. I used to play F-Zero, Mario Kart, Final Fight, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and Doom on it all the time. Doom. I played so much Doom on my Game Boy Advance. Absolutely loved it. Just the fact that I could hold a handheld gaming system that could play Doom was crazy. You know, here we are now, and people think nothing of it. But you know, back just a few years ago, I remember when I got, what was it, my Sega Nomad, and it could play Mega Drive games. And going on a train somewhere in 2000, I think it was, or 99, 2000, and I got out this Nomad and I was playing Streets of Rage 2 on a handheld, and like, there was this passenger who looked over like, wow, what's that system? You know, just blowing people's minds, you know, because all we had still, even then, was, you know, relatively, you know, the Game Boy, you know, that was about it, you know. So it's amazing how it's moved forward. But no, I think it's a cool systems, cool ideas, you know. But there's a few elements in that trailer, like kids with the basketballs, you know. Just imagine, I could just see myself now saying, hey guys at the basketball place, please don't steal my handheld system from me, will you? You could just feel that it's like vulnerable. Someone's going to nick it and run off. We got that girl with her mates. Hi everyone, could I have a nice glass of wine, please? Let's not, in fact, forget the wine. Let's just play games. You know, it's. You
can imagine going to the basketball match and saying, "Why are we playing this for real when we can do it virtually together?"
Exactly. Let's play. And I just think some of the situations were a bit corny. They weren't very realistic. And I think
it got the message across. That's the only thing I will say about it.
The message of how it works. But yeah, I would say at the moment,
from that.
I mean, having said that, I wasn't sold on the Wii U. I thought the Wii was a very good gimmick, which it was. It was a very good gimmick, but it didn't sell me the Wii because I always felt the Wii was just a GameCube in another box with a funky controller, which is exactly what it was, basically. So yeah, I mean, Nintendo have been very good at marketing, but you know, they've got
just a Wii in a box with a fancy screen controller.
Basically, yeah, that's what a little bit more power and performance, but not much. And I think at the end of the day, they have such a hardcore fan base at Nintendo that they could just put, you know, stuff in a box, and people will buy it.
Just slap Pokemon on it, and then it'll sell millions.
Yeah, it will sell millions. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly how it works for Nintendo. But
it's a fairly chunky machine, isn't it? The Switch. I'm just wondering what sort of hardware they're going to put into it.
Well, it's powered by NVIDIA Tegra microchip technology. I mean, it'll be relatively powerful.
It won't be a powerful console, but yeah, this time next year it will probably already be outdated just in terms of power.
I mean, are we talking PS4 power or?
No, not quite as powerful as PS4. Oh, wow. We're talking more Wii U power. Yeah, that's what we're talking, Wii U power.
It's disappointing, isn't it?
So
yeah, but I suppose again, Nintendo aren't about that anymore, unfortunately. There we go.
Well, it's a handheld and it's battery power and all that sort of stuff. They've got to take all that into account.
Yeah, I thought they haven't announced that yet, have they? How many batteries this thing takes?
No.
Or more to the point, the price?
No, the price is critical for this unit. And more than 199, you see, and I think they're in danger. I just can't see that.
I mean, how much is a DS now? About 200 or so. So probably gonna be more than the DS, I imagine, obviously, because it has more functionality, and that's the problem, really, because it's not quite as accessible that way.
No. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
what they pride themselves on.
Yeah, I mean, how much is a DS anyway?
Just looking it up now.
Martin's going to look it up. How much it?
Very sure. On the ever reliable Amazon.
Well, we've got a few prices here, haven't we? $89.99, $75.99, 2DS. That's a 2DS.
I was going to say, yeah.
3DS is £169 to £175. That's a 3DS. I mean, that sort of surprises me, really, just how much a 3DS still sells for.
I know. How old is it now?
And it still sells for that kind of money. I mean, it's crazy, really. And, I just wouldn't buy it for that money. I just don't think it's worth that. Well, it isn't worth that money. They could sell that for £99 without a sweat, Nintendo. And I think that shows how much brand following they've got, that they can just get away with that. So I think really, I think having looked at that, the estimations I've seen from some people of 299 is realistic. I think if they go over 300, for sure, that will hurt it. But
you can get Vita now for £90 according to this on Amazon.
Oh wow!
Well, I don't actually know. Scrap. That's actually used.
All right.
I noticed in your article, Martin, you mentioned Codemasters are one of the third-party publishing partners.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder.
Obviously, they haven't announced their new IP yet, so you do wonder if maybe that's going to be ported over. I don't know.
Yeah. Could it be
won't be an exclusive?
Evolution staff working on it? Who knows?
That'd be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? We don't know if it's going to be an exclusive.
No.
Or if it's even going to be the new IP yet, but will it be exclusive to Nintendo? Will it be multi-platform?
It won't be exclusive. I don't think it'll be exclusive.
I'd be so surprised if
there is no way.
There was a Formula 1 game that was made, wasn't there, for the Wii only?
There was, 2009. Yeah. Yeah, Formula 1 2009 was made for Wii. That was the first F1 game they made.
Yeah, it was.
Made for Wii, so it was much quicker to develop. So if you wanted to play as Jenson Button, winning his world title, that was the only one.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There you go.
Back also, at that time... Sorry, go, yeah.
I was going to say the developers of Fast Racing Neo are also on board, so whether or not they're making a new game or just making a new version of Fast Racing Neo, which I still maintain is a very underrated game.
Yeah.
I imagine it's a new game, actually, yeah.
Yeah, they have a good history of Nintendo. They've made quite a few games on there.
Yeah.
I'm just scanning the publishers at the moment.
I just wish they'd go over to the dark side with the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Oh, I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the footage, we see versions of what appear to be a new 3D Mario, Splatoon, Mario Kart, Zelda.
Yeah. And apparently,
I could have predicted that. I could have predicted that so easily.
I don't think they are actually new games that they were showing. There was some confusion over that. I don't think they are.
Yeah, they haven't clarified it, have they? Are the games made specifically for it? Are they backwards compatible with the Wii U? At least digitally, because obviously it's cartridge based. We don't know yet.
Cartridges in 2017 it will be, won't it, when it launches? Incredible. I just can't believe.
The Vita runs on cartridges as well, though.
Yeah, but in 2017 still cartridges.
Amazing.
At
least it'll be better than the remember the UMDs that were in the original PSP.
Yeah, I mean, but they worked well. Worked well at the time. In the original Vita.
They were just so. I remember they were just so slow and they took so long to load, and they were so noisy.
They were, because they were based on originally at that time an expansion of Sony Minidisc. Because I used to have a Sony Minidisc before that as well. Now that was a big fat waste of money.
I remember that craze. Yeah, it didn't last long, really, did it?
No, I still occasionally see UMD movies in Poundland.
Oh wow.
believe it or not.
No, I remember when they launched it and they were selling them at like the same price as DVDs, full price, 15, 20 pounds or something for a movie and all that. It was like, oh my God, really? You know, they just don't understand, do they? You know, it just wasn't the way to go with it. But
yeah. So I guess we need to sum up the Nintendo Switch. We like the look of it. It looks innovative, but we're just not sure if there's really a market for that kind of handheld experience anymore for console gaming on the go. Pretty much. So I guess we should probably talk about racing games about now.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd start. Well, as usual, it feels like with Assetto Corsa. It always seems to make its way into the podcast in one way or another. But obviously, a big milestone for Assetto Corsa and indeed sim racing in general, as the first Porsche pack has been released on PC. It's also coming to consoles in November, apparently. You can also buy a season pass for it, and there'll be 2 separate packs coming out in one in November and then one in December.
Yep, that's it.
Basically, to sum up.
So you're looking at savings of just over £5 if you buy the Porsche season pass. So it's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Okay, it's been so long since Porsche has been in a hardcore sim racer. I mean, the developers said it's been about 12 years apparently.
Yeah, I read that. That's incredible, isn't it? I mean, the floodgates hopefully now will open and everyone will jump on board. But yeah, it's good to see Porsche certainly. And November the release date, isn't it, for the consoles?
Yeah, no exact date yet, but they just said sometime in November.
So I'm gonna have to wait until then to get my hands on the Porsche.
Sadly, so yeah, we're gonna have to wait until then. Volume 2's out in November 22nd.
PC again, yeah.
This is PC only at the moment. Yeah, We've got the 919 hybrid in that one, most notably. And then Volume 3 will follow just before Christmas on December 20th. And that'll include cars such as the 911 GT3 Cup and 911 GT3 RSR. So a very good lineup if you're a Porsche fan, it has to be said. And obviously, I think the first free one is the Porsche Panamera, which was obviously controversial at the time.
No one wants it. No one cares.
The poor Panamera, no one likes it at all.
Yeah. It's a shame, isn't it? Oh.
No, it's what more can you say? Really, it's Porsche's finally back in racing games, and not just confined to Need for Speed or Forza.
Yeah, and car crushers and all that nonsense.
Yeah, we said last week, but yeah, I remember its appearance in Need for Speed where it was just in a car crusher, and it was just like insulting everyone that wanted to see it in a proper racing game.
Yeah, and it was only like 3 or 4 Porsches was there.
It was such a waste of the license.
It was. I mean, now you want to get your hands on a Porsche in a proper racing simulation, and Assetto Corsa is that. So it's
what better game can there be than Assetto Corsa?
No, I mean, in terms of simulation, there's nothing better on the console at the moment. So it's if you want to feel what a Porsche feels like, get on Assetto Corsa and
when it comes out anyway. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh, yes.
Elsewhere in where are we? Automobilista. We got the. I pronounced it right.
You did.
We got the Brit pack that's just been released. That looks like a pretty interesting pack.
Much teasing. So many screenshots. All this time later, it's finally arrived.
Not a game I'm massively familiar with, as it's PC only, admittedly. But you get Brands Hatch, Cadwell Park, and Alton Park. Lots of sort of classic BTCC tracks. That's good to see.
Yeah, it's that sort of Project Cars flavour, doesn't it? Those tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Or sort of almost vintage Codemasters to a degree. God, I wish they'd make a new touring car game.
Oh, please! It's never going to happen, though, is it? It's maybe a DLC add-on, perhaps in the future game.
Yeah, I can dream. That's for cars. You get the Ultima GTR. F Trainer, MCR Sports 2000, and Caterham 270.
Yeah,
360R and 620R.
So there's a few different variations.
Track-based cars. That's all right then. Have you played Automobilista, Alan?
No, it's been one of those games that I've been meaning to get round to, but it's just really time. There's so many different. And the problem I found with some of the sims in particular was, I can't just jump on it within 5 minutes and get up to speed like you can with other stuff. like iRacing, you know, sometimes it requires a bit of depth and a bit of time, and it's something that at some stage, hopefully, I'll have a bit of time to get into it, and maybe next year will be the year. But either way, it's been great to see how they've been developing the title, and it really does deserve a proper look at some stage. Perhaps when it gets VR add-ons or something, I'll jump on there for HTC Vive, put it through its paces.
Fair enough. We look forward to that. So I guess also on the subject of sim racing games at the moment, Project Cars, interesting announcement from Slightly Mad Studios. Apparently Project Cars has now sold over 2 million copies. It's a good little milestone for the sim racing market.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and well deserved to them as well. I mean, there's been a hole in the market made on the PlayStation by Gran Turismo. They've taken that and they've had extra time to sell. I think, you know, personally, it's the bugs were a problem, but besides that, I've thoroughly enjoyed my playing on Project Cars, and you know, I'd say that if they can take on board everything they learned from the first one, including refining the technology, then wow, Project Cars could be really special. But 2 million sales in the current climate, you know, what can you say? Multi-million seller. Well done to them.
Didn't Drive Club break the 2 million sales by, or was it 1 million?
I was just thinking that.
Actually. 1 million, I believe it was.
Yeah, it's an interesting comparison, isn't it? Because both titles launched with pretty substantial problems.
No, it's 2 million. I just looked up.
Oh, it is 2 million. One thing that has to be said about Drive Club was it was a pack-in game with the hardware, and that did sell a lot. And they combine the free version or whatever in there as well. So that is a multi-combined thing rather than being a standalone third-party title.
I suppose nonetheless, it is obviously only on one format compared to Project Cars.
True, yeah, there is that as well. But we'll have to see. I mean, the rate Project Cars is selling, it probably will catch. I mean, it was released some 18 months later than Drive Club, so it's likely it will probably catch up with Drive Club eventually. But either way, you know, I mean, across formats, it's done well, and I think. They say it's a good foundation to build on, and look what we've had since. You know, we've now had Dirt Rally and Assetto Corsa come to consoles that perhaps may not have happened had it not been for the foundation left by Project Cars. So,
absolutely, Project Cars was the torchbearer, wasn't it? And its success sort of paved the way for these other titles, like you say. And you know, I really can't imagine Assetto Corsa coming to consoles if it wasn't for Project Cars. I just can't imagine that. That was a major deal, you know, when it came out.
I'm interested in what the sales are like for Assetto Corsa on consoles.
Yeah, that's true.
Comparatively,
you know, could Project Cars feasibly catch up to the likes of Gran Turismo?
Oh, that's a big. It won't catch up yet. I think, you know, in theory, it can. The problem with the problem with Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport is that they're not just games; they're corporate entities. They're from a connection point of view, you know, there are car companies that work with Sony and Microsoft on various technological levels away from just the gaming itself. And obviously, you know, Kazunori has become quite embedded with the automotive community and the car guys. You know, Turn 10 Studios have done the same. So I think for Project Cars, it's one thing making a big racing game, but it's another thing becoming embedded in the automotive industry, and I can't see any sign of them doing that yet. They're staying as a games company, and I've not seen them connect. They are connecting with esports companies and ESL, stuff like that, but I don't think that on its own will help them replace Forza and Gran Turismo as being the main industry thing. But I do believe that if Project Cars 2 can maximize their success and potential, then anything is possible. If they can do the same again and double it even on Project Cars 2, then, you know, they will have options available to them. And you know what, I remember when, I think even Top Gear, you know, Top Gear was always about Gran Turismo this, Gran Turismo that. It was always about Gran Turismo. And I remember playing Forza Motorsport saying, they just ignore Forza Motorsport. And then one day on Forza Motorsport 2011, when Forza 4 came out, they suddenly switched across, and suddenly they're all about Forza, and they're in the Forza game and everything else. So, you know, that was when Forza really took it on in terms of finding new car companies, getting greater branding awareness and stuff like that. So, and became a true competitor to Gran Turismo, but in many respects. But no, Project Cars has huge opportunity ahead of it, and I think they have the potential, but I don't think they're going to catch GT and Forza just yet. But let's see where it goes.
Well, I mean, there's so much potential for the sequel whenever they announce it. Probably next year sometime.
Probably next year now. I mean, I think they want to. I think they're itching to. But I think I really got that impression. They are itching to announce it. But, don't announce it too soon, because then you put yourself on a pedestal, basically.
Yeah, they did. They kind of did already announce it.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Didn't they? Thinking about it, but not formally announced it.
Not a teaser trailer. Yeah.
Was that this year or was it last year then?
Last year,
I think. Yeah.
Goodness me, it's so early, wasn't it? It was ridiculous, and it did offend a lot of fans.
Yeah, that spawned a whole debate in itself.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was announced far too early.
Yeah, you can see why people were a bit aggrieved by it, because they just, particularly people that invested in the original one, now they're asking for more money, etc.
Do we expect Project Cars to come out, Project Cars 2 next year?
No, I'm not expecting it to 2018 personally.
Okay. Yeah,
I think they're going to take their time over it, and I think they need a good development period now. There's no rush. I mean, next year you've got GT Sport coming out. They'll want to avoid that.
Well, we hope.
We hope. Yeah, I think Sony. I get the feeling Sony are going to make GT Sport come out next year. I will be very surprised. See, normally I'm the sort of person that would say, nah, GT Sport won't come out. But because there's not been a GT game yet on the PlayStation, and the PS4 is getting to the end of its life now, frankly, with the PS4 coming out, it makes you wonder what the hell is going on. Polyphony, what are they doing all day? 5 years of making this game at least, because there was an overlap. They were making this while they were making Gran Turismo 6. Apparently. But it makes you wonder what's been going on there. So, I mean, I don't think Project Cars has anything to fear from Gran Turismo. I think that conceptually, Project Cars is more advanced already in many respects.
It'll be interesting though to see if it's a threat to dirt rally. Though, because obviously it's adding in new dirt racing, rally racing. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it well could be.
Potentially,
it well could be. It depends on how extensive the rally sections are. I mean, are they going to be? Is it just going to have like 2 locations like Gran Turismo, or is it going to have a full-on rally experience?
Well, they only have to have 4 locations or more to have more than dirt rally. In fact, so not 4, 6 locations than dirt rally.
Yeah, it does have to be that extensive, does it, to really sort of give it a run for its money, which is the irony. But it'd be interesting to see how that works out. I mean, next year, of course, we're going to have Forza Motorsport 7 as well. So perhaps 2018 is the ideal year for Project Cars 2.
Ideal, yeah. I mean, they'll have Scorpio technology. They'll have PlayStation Pro technology. I mean, running on the Scorpio, my goodness, it's going to look amazing. It looks amazing enough as it is.
We want VR support at launch. Get that happening, please. Start him ad.
Yeah. Oh, VR support, I think, will be coming, and should be outstanding by then. I mean, the amount of technology they'll have to work with will have improved a lot in terms of VR. Wow. I mean, the future of racing games in VR is so exciting right now. And when developers get it right, it's going to be another world.
Do you think Drive Club VR got it right? Or?
I think Drive Club VR has got a lot right. I think apart from the blur, I think it's got a lot right. The feeling of actually being in the car is incredible.
Yeah. That's my fault. I've been playing it a fair bit later myself. And, I do kind of agree with that.
Yeah, the feeling of being in the car is incredible. I've sat in these cars in real life and driven a few of them, and I can tell you right now, the feeling of being in the car in Drive Club is spot on.
It really is.
It's just I'd say if there are 2 things I'd want to see improved, is it puts a lot more emphasis on decent audio. Audio matters even more when you're in VR. And so Gran Turismo's hoovers, as it were, really aren't good enough for the current age. So I think, there's different words for the different types of audio they're using now, but, they need to get the audio right on the cars. But the actual feeling of being in the car and Drive Club, is amazing. As I say, the only thing that lets it down is the blur. It's
graphics and audio.
Yeah, you just can't quite see where you're going, especially on night driving. I really struggle to see where I'm going.
I spent more time in that game than I care to admit, just sat in the car, like just looking at the interior. Whilst the car sat stationary.
Considering it's the very first sort of VR title for the PSVR, it wasn't built the ground up for VR. All things considered, it's certainly a decent start, isn't it, for the racing genre in terms of VR for the masses.
Well, it fills the void that Gran Turismo Sport should have filled, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it does. To an extent, it does. And well done to those guys for, getting that together. It's a shame that Sony got rid of Evo, because right now, you imagine they're stuffed right now because the Sony put all their eggs in the Gran Turismo basket and they've been let down completely. So, oh dear, now you've got a Drive Club in there. So, yeah, I mean, Evo were let down badly, weren't they? But hey, let's see what the guys make for Codemasters, because if that's their old tech, let's see their new tech. And I think Codemasters will be laughing right now with some of the, because they've already used Sony VR long before anyone else did.
Yeah.
So Codemasters will be enjoying that. So I think Codemasters titles next year, is a very exciting prospect in terms of the future use of VR.
Yep,
certainly is.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? So, going back briefly to Project Cars. Project Cars wasn't the only achievement this week in terms of 2 million sales. There's been another interesting development in the racing game scene. It just so happens that Ride 2, Milestone's bike racing simulation, has broken a Guinness World Record. It's not for the longest loading times.
No, and it's not for 2 million sales even.
It's actually for the most bikes in a video game. So well done, Milestone, for that.
Well done, Milestone. Yes.
So this would be more of an achievement if they weren't competing with themselves, basically.
Exactly.
Is what I want to say.
Very true. Yeah.
The most stuff in a game.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the only bike game you can buy right now.
It's a recent phenomenon, isn't it, with Milestone games? They're just packing in the content, and like I said before, they're making a rod for their own back because we're going to expect all this content now. So it's going to be really a challenge to keep up. Considering they're releasing, they released like 5 games this year, so it's an incredible achievement when you think about it. So you're talking 190 bikes and a further 40 expected to join with 50 DLC packs. I mean, that's incredible, right there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I assume
bikes.
Some of those bikes will be free because, we've recently said that Milestone are going to be making up to fans for the lack of post-release support. So 40 bikes is an incredible amount for the DLC. So
yeah, I mean,
not only are the games already.
Not only are the games getting more substantial, but it looks like the DLC packs are getting more and more in numbers anyway. But it's questionable some of the content that they've brought out in recent months.
Yeah, I mean, just to put in perspective, I think since Gran Turismo 6 was launched, I think Milestone will have released about 30 games. There will be, literally, they'll probably have got to that many. And, probably with 2,000 different or 5,000 different cars and bikes, frankly.
Yeah, and about 1 million different customization items.
Yeah, so, I mean, having said that, the contents of Ride 2 are amazing. And, when they are Gran Turismo level amounts of content.
Yeah.
The only thing that lets them down, really, is a bit of polish here and there in terms of the graphics engine and stuff like that. If they had the same level of polish, they would be right up there right now. So
yeah,
it's
I'm a big fan of Ride 2. I mean, I love the original, but this improves on it in every which way. And honestly, I believe it's the best motorbike game they've released.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a really good fun game. So yeah, Ride 2, good game. And I look forward to seeing your review, Martin, of when you've played through it and where it actually goes in comparison to the last game. But I haven't put the time into it. I'd like to put into it something I'll come back to later. First, I've got to get back on WRC6 and really start pounding that through its paces.
It is a shame, isn't it, that it released at the very same day, wasn't it? I think.
Same day.
Yeah.
So they're keeping up tradition then.
Yeah. It's not the first time, and it really didn't help them launching it on the same day. I think if they'd launched Ride in November, I think it would have given them more time and would have been good for them. Like, it's a free month available, so
Yeah. fair play to Marcel, though. At least they are sort of, with this Guinness World Record, they are getting some recognition, deservedly.
Yeah.
I mean, things are going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I bet they never thought they'd have a good Guinness World Record a few years ago.
No.
I think the only thing with the bike list, though, is they do cheat sometimes by having lots of near identical models of the same bike, a bit like Gran Turismo does. So it's certainly the Gran Turismo of bike games in that regard, you could say.
Yeah.
But I mean, still,
there is a lot of variation of bike types and things like that. So, although there are, multiple editions that are very similar, you do have to give credit where it's due in terms of all the different types of bikes. So, in that respect, it is a Gran Turismo. But, I'd love to see where this series is going to go from here, because we've got so much content now.
I mean, God knows what they're going to do next year.
I mean, it's definitely a series they're going to continue, I imagine. So,
they want this to be a franchise, I think. Yeah,
the controls are nice and smooth. Satisfying gameplay. You're getting into a nice groove with it, much like you did with Ride 1. That somehow missing from the MotoGP games, I find. But I
get the impression, because I think with Ride, because it's their own IP, they've got more freedom to basically do what they want in that sense.
I guess MotoGP maybe feels a little bit more sterile on the racetracks all the time, whereas Rides, you're able to sort of get out into more of the sort of open road sort of style. And it just feels like more satisfying. And, with the new tracks like the Nürburgring and the Northwest 200, Ulster GP, they have that sort of road feel to it. And it's just more satisfying, I find, than the track-only sort of stuff of MotoGP.
Well, I hope that, and I obviously, I talk about frame rate a lot, but I hope that when they get to Scorpio, I hope Scorpio, they get 60 frames per second on Scorpio. There's no reason why they shouldn't. And if they can get that frame rate, revise all the graphics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that'd be special. Yeah.
Because I find the bikes look incredible, but sometimes the tarmac and the actual road textures are a bit lacking.
Milestone game.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think the rider and bike models are good. Animations as well, I believe, are very good. But yeah, like you say, it just gets let down by the graphics and I guess the lack of 60 frames.
Time and time again.
Yeah.
But yes, I suppose at least it's a reasonably solid frame rate, unlike WRC6, which I've been playing quite a lot this week and still really noticing that sort of variable frame rate. It is quite annoying sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, Milestone are developing as a developer, and they're getting more and more. I assume they're getting more money coming in from their products if they're releasing 5 a year, and it's going to be reinvested, and they're going to get better technology, better graphics and sound. Already we're seeing improvements in sound, so it's going in the right direction. It's slow progress, but honestly, I'm very much looking forward to 2017 from Milestone, just to see what they're going to come up with.
Yeah, what they're going to surprise us with next.
You just don't know, do you? It could be anything.
Well, they'll probably announce MXGP3 at the end of the year for next March or something like that.
They've got the potential right now. I think this is what's frustrating with Milestone. They've got the potential right now. They've got Sebastian Loeb Rally was a decent rally game.
Yes.
Had there not been Dirt Rally, I think people would have been raving about it. I reckon it would have created its own cult community, and it probably still already has. But I don't think Sebastian Loeb was the right frontman for it, really. And I don't think he appealed to enough people. He's one of the greatest drivers that's ever lived, frankly. But I don't know. There was something about it. Also, the game itself was a bit sterile feeling. The way the car moved, lots of little things. And you think, but it's got so much potential. And it's got the most realistic rally stages ever. And loads of rally stages in there. So as a package, Sebastian Loeb is an amazing game to build upon. So I think if you take Sebastian Loeb, fantastic. If you take Ride 2, fantastic. Build on them, they could become classics. The next stage is further down the line. I think MXGP has got lots of potential, but it needs a lot of work. It needs a real rethink to bring it all together. But there's lots of potential there. From the first 2 games, bring the good bits all together. You've got a really solid dirt bike game at the end of it.
And then you had this year's MotoGP, which was basically a best of compilation of all those games.
It was, wasn't it? It was like a mismatch of bits and pieces, and it didn't really have a focus. Yeah.
Again, it's dated. It felt dated. I felt like I was playing an Xbox 360 game rather than there's something about MotoGP that's really not exciting me at the moment when it comes to the game. It's not capturing the sport. And again, I talk about frame rate, but it's true. I think that when you're looking at F1 2016, exactly, but F1 2016, market competitor, 60 frames, you know?
Yeah.
When you look at the main competitors on the market, they're all running at roughly 60 frames.
I'm getting the same problem with WRC at the moment, where I think I just played Dirt Rally and that just ran without a hitch, and then you play WRC 6, for example, and you do notice it. That's the trouble. I get spoiled with one series that does it right, and then I can't look at other games the same way sometimes.
Optimization is key in terms of getting these games running right, you know, getting your coding right, getting your right graphics and technical people on board. When you look at, nobody does it better, frankly, than Turn 10 Studios.
Yeah,
and you know, there's real potential there. But I think Milestone, you know, in a way, they're an Italian company. I think sometimes they could do with a bit more foreign investment in terms of staffing, steal a few key people from Turn 10, and they'd have an amazing setup there.
That's right.
You know,
I mean, these two games we've mentioned, WRC and MotoGP, I mean, are they sort of suffering from being released annually? Are they, you know, byproducts of the sort of annual release, you know, short development time where you can't really innovate too much, you can't add too many details because you've got to concentrate on optimization?
WRC is suffering that problem. Last year they had 1 year to make a game. My God, how did they do it? And they got it out the door. This year they had another year to improve upon it, and I think you can see that improvement.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with WRC from Milestone, and then WRC 3 was where you saw the first game that was really good. I think if you look at Formula 1 from Codemasters, again, you know, they ebbed and flowed, but it was 2013 before they made a decent F1 game, properly decent game that brought it all together. That was, you know, their fourth F1 game. So I think that in series in general, when they're sort of regular, even FIFA, right, one of the biggest annual franchises in the world, they were crap for years from EA. They didn't know how to make a football game, frankly. They had this brand, but Pro Evolution Soccer was way better than FIFA
it was,
in the 2000s. And then suddenly they turned it around eventually. And I think it's the same with the WRC guys. You know, they certainly got passionate people who love WRC making those games. But they've got the most impossible job to try and bring it all together in 1 year. Really, they need 2 or 3 or 4 years. I mean, if you look at Project Cars, you know, what's that, 4 or 5 year development?
It was a long time,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a bit of a 3-year pattern here with games like F1 and all that. Because I think too, also you need to consider that I believe Dirt Rally was made in 3 years. So there you go.
Yeah.
So would they strike it rich in with WRC 7, perhaps?
Hopefully. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think WRC 6 is a surprisingly good game considering the short development time. Once again, just like with WRC 5, they have performed miracles, but there's just still that lack of polish in places. You just know it can go to the next level.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's very difficult to say at the moment. It could be WRC 7 or 8 before you really see. And the reason why is, one, they could be developing WRC 7 in parallel. So what they did was they had one team working on improving WRC 5 to re-release that this year, and another team that have been working for 2 years already on WRC 7, in which case then the only thing that's in WRC 6 would be the cars and some of the assets. But other than that, they'd be working on that. So who knows if they go down that route or not. Or they're just pushed to the limit already with what they're doing, in which case you'll see another small step up next year. But either way, you know, I think that apart from the frame rate is the tearing have been the big issue. Really. I'm going to keep mentioning it, but frame rate, you know, why are we even talking about frame rate?
I agree.
But why are we even talking? We shouldn't even be talking about frame rate these days. I mean, developers should know. But, you know, tearing as well. I think tearing is a new thing that we can all moan about and stuff. And
yeah,
I think you know that they're two things that really sort of hold it back. And I hope that they get on top of those for next year, because it will turn people off long term if they can't make those changes. You know,
that's it. Yeah. So I think then just to finish up, we've had a fair few sort of new racing game announcements and releases this week. I think the one that caught my eye the most so far, though, was Apex Racing League. It's a new top-down racer with a variety of classes, including sort of classic F1, which looks really promising. It's just sent to Kickstarter, There's a trailer on the website as well you can view if you're interested. But no, that was a nice surprise, I thought, actually, that one.
Yeah, it almost gives me a Grand Prix rock and racing vibe, albeit much superior.
Really?
Yeah, it has that quirkiness to it, doesn't it? It almost looks like it could be like a cartoony sort of game, like with environments. They almost look quite cartoony, but they do have this sort of more serious approach to the racing, much like in sort of Grand Prix rock and racing. But a fantastic range of cars. You've got your Le Mans racers, you've got your F1, you've got dirt racing, so you've got your trophy trucks, you've got sprint cars. So a fantastic amount of cars and different disciplines. So it'd be interesting to see how it all comes together in a package.
As long as there's no annoying shouty announcer.
Yes, please do away with that guy.
Absolutely. I'll just say, actually, I do like the artistic approach they've taken. They look like little toy cars, basically.
I love the big-headed drivers as well. I'm just watching the trailer.
No, it's got some really nice artistic flair to it. And I think if they can make the handling fun, then it's got games like that always have potential.
Actually, it looks a lot like, do you remember, I think it's called Bang Bang Racing, came out a few years ago.
I do, yeah.
Reminds a bit of that, aesthetically.
Yeah, to an extent. I think that I think the Le Mans cars look nice and detailed. They have a nice little toy. Again, they look like mini toy cars. I quite like. They've even used some depth of field effects as well in the screenshots that are interesting to see. So there'll be some various different technology there, but a nice, fun little game.
It's just a shame at the moment it seems to be PC only.
Yeah. Well, it might release on PC, and then depending on success there, try.
I mean, we see it. Sorry, we see it so often, don't we? With the indie scene, often you'll find it's just available for the PC. Like the consoles only get like 10% of what the PC gets, which is a shame.
We do, but on the other hand, usually they also sort of outline their plans in the Kickstarter. And I don't recall seeing any mention of consoles.
Yeah.
No. I just wanted to, actually, just while we're talking, just change the subject one thing and say next week there is a new release next week, and it's Moto Racer 4. And I would just say, actually, it's very late in the day and we've still not had any preview on the game yet. We've seen the new trailer for the game that doesn't seem to have used footage that moves on a great deal from what we've already seen previously. It doesn't even show any new locations. So I have to admit,
it's the same trailer as far as I can.
Yeah, pretty much the same trailer. So a week to launch, and no previews, no review copies or access for us or anyone else. It comes out next week. It doesn't fill you with confidence, does it?
Always a good sign, is it, when that happens?
Essentially, the new trailer is the old trailer cut up into bits and reshuffled. That's all it is.
I really couldn't tell the difference, apart from the VR bit at the end.
Yeah.
And I will just say, so Moto Racer 4, that's something which jury's out, but I'm not, I don't really know where that's going at the moment. We'll wait and see. Potential, but it's dwindling, isn't it? And also, Ridge Racer Draw and Drift, I just wanted to highlight, how sad it is to see the amazing Ridge Racer brand used in that way. Namco, I don't know what they're doing with their Ridge Racer brand. I mean, I hope we see a new Ridge Racer for Scorpio next year, because really it's a new technology game. That's how I see Ridge Racer. But
this reminds me of?
What's that?
Driver Speedboat Paradise.
Right, you're right. It does have that vibe, doesn't it? When they take an awesome brand and they just make something rubbish out of it.
It's like Ridge Racer for infants, like teaching them how to draw almost.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's one of those mobile games where you don't have any control of the car either. You just tap.
That's terrible. That is. Yeah.
That's not what Ridge Racer is about at all. It's just another company that just doesn't seem to know what to do with their brand, their series.
Rubbish. But if you don't like that, there's always Farming Simulator 17 for you. Tell you that's where all the action is right now. And apart from that, obviously there's been that Wreckfest update. I haven't played Wreckfest in ages. I should jump on it again, really, just to see the new track. But it'll be interesting to see what happens to that game that seems to be permanently in development. That's
true. And on the VR scene, there's also an intriguing-looking game called Monowheels VR. Interesting. We looked at this earlier, and we noticed something quite interesting, actually. It seems to us that they've actually borrowed the music from Grip, the trailer of that. If you watch them both side by side, it's the same soundtrack, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It uses the same riff. And the thing is, I really like the whole Grip soundtrack, in terms of the trailer. I thought it was a great trailer at the time. And yeah, it's funny that they've used the same thing. And that the actual bikes themselves, so the bike actually used by Admiral Grievous in Star Wars Episode 3.
That's right.
General Grievous, isn't it?
You can tell with Star Wars fans to notice that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I just noticed it straight away. So there's originality points minus a few points there on that trailer. But interesting, let's see, VR racing games. We're going to get lots more of them. But is the PS4 powerful enough to do racing games justice? We don't know yet with PlayStation VR. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe you'll probably need a Pro to Pro. What about the Pro? I mean.
Oh yeah, that's out in a few weeks, isn't it?
Exactly. And it does what? What does it do for your games? Nothing. Nobody even knows.
Ask Sony. They probably don't even know themselves.
What a mess of a launch. I don't think I've ever known such a messy hardware launch. Apart from the VR itself, which Sony just didn't want to talk about for some reason.
Yeah, if you hadn't mentioned that, I completely forgot that's out in a few weeks, and that just says it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And so at the moment, a few months ago, I was thinking, oh, Pro could be worth buying. Pro could be good. And then, of course, it doesn't play the Blu-rays and, it didn't seem that much more powerful. And it was like, they didn't really know what it did to your games even. So it's like, it might do something for your games. It might help your VR. We don't know yet. So we'll just leave it at that. That's kind of where it is right now. So
yeah.
There is actually there is a new release today. I'm not sure if you guys know.
That's what this happens at the end of every podcast. Did you guys know there's a new game out this week?
It's for the PC.
I do know, although it isn't. Yeah, actually, I was going to say it would be tomorrow, but we're recording it the day before this goes out. So yes, today.
It is a kart racer, and it's called Wacky. Yeah, Wacky Wheels HD.
Okay, this is not what I was thinking you were talking about.
No. So this actually launched today by Ferocity 2D, and it's very much sort of Super Mario Kart style of karting sort of racer. You've got very similar environments actually. There's one environment there where you have like water, and it just reminded me very much of the Mario Kart water level on the beach. So it looks like a throwback, but it is like a HD version of an older game that dates back a number of years. But
it's like an MS-DOS game, wasn't it? The original one.
Yeah, it's an oldie, but it's good to see the kart games coming back in fashion. We recently had Bears Can't Drift, which is an interesting one, and hopefully we'll see more and more kart races come out, because we are missing the kart races of old, likes of sort of Crash Team Racing we mentioned in the previous podcast, and so it's good to see these coming back.
I think that one is also PC only, though, as well, just to point out.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame. But I guess that plays to its heritage in a way, because obviously I think it was only on MS-DOS at the time anyway. Actually, no, apparently it's on Commodore 64 as well. There you go.
Oh, really? Oh, goodness. That's a long, long time ago.
Back in 1994.
Oh, wow.
So I think one last release out this week as well. It's a surprisingly packed week for racing games. Well, I say new release. It's Carmageddon Max Damage. It's finally coming out on PC a few months later. Yeah, they did promise it would. I believe it's actually a free upgrade if you already own what was it called, Carmageddon Reincarnation.
Yeah.
But the way they're promoting it is quite interesting, because they've basically jumped on the US election bandwagon by letting you run over pedestrians modelled after Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Basically, just watch the trailer. That will explain it.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? And
love it. What else can you do with Donald Trump and Hillary? I mean, there really isn't much else you can do with them. I think it's great, fantastic. There's going to be some. The press release for it is, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's fantastic, creative, and I think they're using an opportunity, aren't they, for a bit of road rage? Why
not? I mean, it's a developer that seems to want to do anything for a bit of publicity in that regard.
Yeah,
but
it's probably the most naughty press release I've ever read, and it's some very good-looking cows and penguins, though, I might add.
I never thought I'd see a penguin with Donald Trump's hair.
Yeah, I didn't think I'll see anything at all with Donald Trump's hair, but yeah. There you go.
I can see Grand Theft Auto wanting to replicate this.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
That smiling Hillary Clinton model is like beyond creepy.
Is it smiling or is it grimacing? I'm not sure.
Oh, that's going to give me nightmares.
Oh, it's a pretty shocking sight, isn't it? I like the way they've captured Donald Trump's sort of orangeness as well.
Reminds me of South Park because they're doing that at the moment as well.
Yeah.
With the orange Mr. Garrison. But yeah, that's out this week as well. So if you ever fantasized about running over those two, this is the game for you in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add, but I think that's just about it for this podcast.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's it. I think one last thing to finish off
Yep.
the podcast with is obviously disappointing news today that Audi are leaving the WEC World Endurance Championship, and it's a real shame. They're pulling out. They're basically very much down to the Volkswagen Dieselgate last year. Investment is being pulled. It's being put into electrical research. It'll be far cheaper for them to do Formula E cars, and they'll be moving into Formula E next year with a more generic car in 2017, but with their own designed cars from 2018 onwards, which is when the series opens up in terms of its technology. You'll see huge leaps forward in Formula E between 2018 and 2025. You know, there is a lot of investment going in between then and then. So they're moving into that. I think it's a real shame for the WEC series. I think this year's Le Mans now will mainly be between Toyota and Porsche. We're also losing Mark Webber from Porsche at the end of the year, which again, big name driver there from Formula One. It's a shame to see him go. There's a part of me that almost wanted to see Jenson Button racing Mark Webber because he's wanted to be racing in Le Mans for some years, and with his year out next year, I half expected him to make the leap. But either way, I think it's sad for Le Mans. It's sad for motor racing because, for me, as well as Formula E is doing, and as relevant to production cars as it is, there's a certain sadness to me that it doesn't feel the same as other motorsports. It just not yet anyway. It's just not there yet. Maybe it will one day. Maybe it will capture some essence. But in the short term, it doesn't really capture the essence for me of motorsport in quite the same way. And it's a shame to see that brand go. But yeah, that's a bit of racing news.
Yeah, that's Alan's motorsport rant for you there. Yeah. Basically, without even taking a breath. Well done.
Exactly. I don't need to breathe. Breathing.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is a sad moment in motorsport history. But yeah, other than that, then, if there's anything you ever want us to discuss in the podcast, do leave us a comment. We'd obviously love to answer your questions. But that's it from all of us now, and we'll see you again next time.